Rule number one in your book is care about other people's feelings first.
What it means is read the situation. Oftentimes the strongest communication tool we have is listening, and we listen to people and we're able to understand them better. And so if you can understand people better, different personalities, different communication preferences, you can support them and you can, be more empathetic. And that's, I think, what we need more of in the Canadian workplace, right? We have a lot of people coming from different backgrounds, different cultures, looking for opportunities. They need that as well. They need to be looked at as an individual that wants to bring their whole selves to work. And how can they do that? And so there has to be kind of flexibility. So think of people's feelings, how do they want to get information? So it's just like, for example, if you work for something that's really direct, it's like, can you get this for me by 4:00? Yes, no. And they like it back and forth. And there's some people, you might come to their office and say, I need this report, but you would never start that way. You would say, hey, how are you doing? How was your weekend? How are you doing? Good. I really like that plant you brought to work. That really makes the office look nice. Is there any chance we could talk about that report that we're working on together? And they're like, yes, oh yes, absolutely, I have it right here. So it's all about how you approach different people. So think about their feelings, and I think if everybody just kind of processed like that, I think we'd have a lot more inclusive workplaces.
Rule number two is one of my favorite ones. It is understand indirect communication.
Mm-hmm.
Examples? You just gave me one, but are there any other examples?
Well, there's a lot of examples. Like when I was coming back and I was going for job interviews, for example, and I was kind of struggling to find work initially, and I was going for job interviews, and I had these kind of real fashionable, not these ones, I had these fashionable glasses from when I was in Macau. Everybody wears kind of the latest fashion, latest trends, everything. But you kind of come to Canada and things are toned down a little bit. But I was going to job interviews in very stylish Gucci glasses, black and white frames. And I remember I was in those interviews and I would get comments like, those are nice glasses. And, I would say, well, thank you, because I was out of touch, I guess, with that indirectness for a lot of years being overseas, and indirectly what they're trying to tell me is it's a little too much for our office place, take a look around. Is anybody wearing glasses? It wouldn't break my career to go to work with glasses like that, but it's an indirect comment that, or, for when I started teaching, for example, I would wear a suit. I had suits, and when I was in Macau, I wore suit jackets to work. And so when I was in Canada, I was going to work, I was teaching some classes and I was wearing a jacket, and people would say, hey, going for a job interview? And I say, no, I'm not going for a job interview. I'm just coming to work. And then I realized, well, was I making people uncomfortable because I was, dressing up a little too much? When I looked around, people were not dressed like that, and so I was thinking, well, maybe that was an indirect way of saying, hey, too much maybe, right? So those are the kind of indirect things. And, people often struggle, like, you'll be doing a chore that your manager asks you to do, and your manager will come in and you say, did I do a good job? Is this what you wanted me to do? And you'll get an answer like, it's good. Usually when we start here and then work here and then we finish this task, but you've completed it. Good job, looks good.
Oh, that's not good.
That means it's not good, right? And the challenge is when you're dealing with a manager that's indirect, you've really got to read between the lines.
Yeah.
Because
it's exhausting.
It can be, and that's what a lot of people say, I can't do that. And I said, no, it's just like learning another language. You're just in a different place. You just got to get used to it. And eventually you'll pick up on all of that. It's like when I tell people, if you ask somebody to be a reference for you, a job reference, you say, can you be a reference for me? And I apply for jobs. And if they say something like, yeah, I could be a reference, I say to people, say to that person, thank you very much, and never ask them again.
Yeah.
Because there's a good chance they're telling you indirectly that they'd be uncomfortable being a reference. So it's about reading between the lines.